Welcome into another episode of Dan Tony Sports. My name is Dan Snyder, joined tonight at the moment by Dan O'Shea. Tony should be in just a few moments as he's getting back from golf. So, Dan, it's been a while. How's it going?
Good. Has indeed been a while. Good to get back in the swing.
Yes, it sure has been a while. It is good to get back into the swing, as you said. What do you say we start this off? What we're going to do tonight is just, go over some of the stories and whatnot from around the world of sports. Definitely touch on football, basketball, some hockey, and maybe some baseball if we have time. What do you say we start with football?
Let's do it.
All right, so obviously Rams won the Super Bowl. That happened all the way back in February. The draft, we didn't do so good at predicting. We only got 3 correct as to our mock draft and where they actually went. 3 out of 32 is not good. But but we had fun doing it, so there is that. Terrible day if you're a Ravens fan. As today they lost one current member of their team and one. He's in the Hall of Fame, right? Tony Siragusa.
I believe so.
He's got to be in the Hall of Fame. Yeah. So we'll start with Tony Siragusa. 55 years old, was found today dead. Huge loss for fans of football in our age range and for Ravens family. It's just, always horrible when, you hear about someone dying so young, especially someone that, is someone that you grew up watching and really grown attached to. But it doesn't get any better announcing that 26-year-old linebacker Jaylon Ferguson of the Baltimore Ravens also found dead today, very early this morning. Very promising career, great college career. Just sucks, when you hear about these players that have so much promise, so much talent, so much potential, and then they die. There's been way too many young athletes dying very recently, actually, a lot.
Yeah, it feels like there's been an uptick.
It does. Started with Dwayne Haskins, getting hit by the car. Then who was it? Who else was that recently died in the NFL? I'll figure it out. But yeah, Dwayne Haskins. There was the basketball player a couple days ago that was shot and killed in Harlem. It's just insane the number of young athletes that have been dying recently. But let me see. Oh, here we go. Jaylon Ferguson, Jeff Gladney. Who else? As we had mentioned earlier, Dwayne Haskins. Wow, this is crazy. Tony Siragusa, Jaylon Ferguson. Marion Barber recently died. 38. Jeff Gladney, and then who's the last one on this list? Oh, Dwayne Haskins. Oh, Shane Olivier. Oh, I didn't even realize Shane Olivier died back in March. Wow, that's absolutely crazy. So many young athletes. And I'd say 40 and under for athletes is young in most sports, not in football, of course. But it's just insane, the tragedies that we are witnessing happening. As you said, it seems like there's a huge uptick.
Yeah. Obviously, variety of causes, nothing to point to. Just felt like, it's been in the news a lot lately. Just a reminder that we're only here for a limited time, so keep your loved ones close and all that.
Absolutely. And while we're on the topic of news, before we get into the stuff where I want to share our opinions and stuff, seems like earlier today, Vince Carter's Atlanta home was robbed, and they made off with roughly $100,000. That is crazy. Vince Carter.
I didn't actually see that, so that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Atlanta, unfortunately, getting a whole lot of that. That's part of the reason that I heard at least that Calvin Ridley was having issues before the whole before he got suspended with continuing to play down there, because he claimed at least that he was always worried about his family's safety. A lot of break-ins, a lot of armed robberies and stuff.
Yeah, Atlanta's never been known to be a safe city.
Right. Definitely seems like some increase in that. And, since the pandemic and everything, a lot of people getting more desperate.
Yeah, and I was just talking with some friends earlier today about not so much athletes necessarily, but rappers as well. We're talking about Lil TJ, I think is his name, a rapper that was shot today.
He's got shot, yep.
Yeah, and like what these people do for a living puts them in the spotlight, and then a lot of people like to be flashy and basically putting like a target on your back just by doing the job that you have, which when someone sees a mansion, obviously you got a lot of money. Someone sees big chains, obviously you got money. Sees you driving 3-4 different really nice cars all the time, got a lot of money. And not to, get into all of that, and I'm trying not to make it sound like I'm blaming the victim, but it's just natural that people who want to be up to no good are going to do that in the areas with the nicer houses. So.
Right. Yeah, you can't exactly hide the fact that you're, living well. If you're living in a big house and everything.
Right, and we have got Tony in with us now. Tony, how's it going?
Not too bad, gentlemen. How are you?
Pretty good. We're just finishing up talking about the news stories before I want us to get into some opinion type stuff. So, last one that I want to talk about. We talked about the deaths of Jalen Ferguson and Tony Siragusa. We just talked about Vince Carter's Atlanta home being robbed. But the big thing I think coming out of the NFL right now is Congress subpoenaing Dan Snyder, not me, not the good Dan Snyder.
Yeah, you better show up, bro.
Yup, sending a subpoena to Daniel Snyder for him to testify in front of Congress. And Commissioner Roger Goodell saying that he has no power to remove Daniel Snyder as owner of the Washington Commanders, which I just don't know if that's true.
It's a cop out because he doesn't have power by himself, but the owners can vote, and he can call that vote, I believe. And the other owners can remove him as owner as detrimental to the league, which he absolutely is right now. There's not even a debate.
Just absolutely crazy.
No, I mean, the owner should, at this point, decide that he's not he can't continue in it. Shouldn't be able to continue in his role.
Yeah.
Right. He's actively harming the league, the reputation of the league, of its, of ownership, of the league's management, of everything. We saw this in the NBA. You can absolutely remove an owner when that's the case, and it's not even up for debate at this point. And now he's hiding away in France or something to try and avoid the subpoena.
Yeah, it's stupid. Daniel Snyder, not me. I'm the good Daniel Snyder. You need to just grow the fuck up and do what's right. You're a piece of shit. If you're going to continue to be a piece of shit, at least give up the one thing that you have going right now that is worth saving, and that is the football team you own, and also Six Flags, and also Johnny Rockets. So, Daniel Snyder, get your shit together.
I mean, is there anything more guilty than I'm fleeing the country to another country?
The only thing I could think of is deflecting, saying, well, what about this person? They did this. That's a little more guilty.
But that's been tried and that's been failed. I mean, he should have gone to a place that has no extradition treaty. I guess he's trying to keep some chance of him being innocent, but I mean, dude, you're fucking walking a thin line.
Yeah, it's not a good look for him. It's not a good look for the Washington Commanders, who are right now in the middle of trying to reshape their image.
And I'm trying to get really hard to fucking keep following these names. Now I got to do the Washington Commanders. I got to do the Cleveland Guardians. It's getting very difficult.
Honestly, Washington football team should have just been kept. That was a way better name.
I feel like the Las Vegas Knights are going to have to change their name because that's going to be offensive at some point.
I don't know. We'll get to that when that comes up.
But you already brought up the fact that the yard goats can be offensive, so I'm surprised they haven't changed.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see, because it all depends on so many different factors. Like, I don't know what is or is not offensive anymore. I try not to be offensive. And, I appreciate if I say something wrong, like you not be an asshole and just politely remind me I'm wrong. So, anyone listening, if that ever happens, if I say something that is, incorrect, but I'm not being an asshole, please just politely remind me I'm incorrect.
You might be being a bit of an asshole. Not as much as me, but I don't care.
To our one listener. But anyways, let's move on to the NBA real quick. Golden State Warriors, your 2022 NBA champions. Congrats to them. I really thought Boston was going to get swept, and they did not. They made it a series, kind of. That being said, I'm glad it ended in 6 because I put some money down on the Warriors to win it. This was back in January when the betting became legal in New York. I put money on the Warriors to win by 1.5 games in the finals. So,
well done.
I'm glad. So far, I am 2 and definitely 1 on my bets because I did get the Rams. I did pick the Warriors. The Stars, I put some money on them to win it, and I thought they had a good chance. I felt like for the first time in a few years, there was no real favorite, in my opinion, to win the Stanley Cup Finals. And I still feel that way. I have no idea. Like, we all knew, not last year, the year before.
Right now.
Yeah.
I've been calling Colorado for a while. Even with the Rangers still in it, they're such a tough team. I was like, oh, man, I don't want to face them. But
and quite frankly, Dan, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Dan. Yours was more of a fan bet, bud.
I placed
You can't do that betting.
when I placed the bet, they were third in the Western Conference.
No, I understand. Listen,
Your division was a bit of a bloodbath.
Yeah.
So it's yours was a team that deserved to make it. Looked solid, and then who'd you guys lose to? Was it the Blues?
The Flames in 7.
Oh, the Flames. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the Flames arguably could have been, facing the Avalanche in the Western Conference Finals. There were some questionable calls, a goal reverse, and everything that the Flames would have beaten the Oilers.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. Like I said, this is the first year in a few years where, looking at it, I don't feel that one team is just head and shoulders above everyone else. Like 2 years ago, Stars, Lightning in the Stanley Cup Finals. I remember telling you guys, Stars getting swept. Good for them, but Stars getting swept. I don't feel like the Lightning or the Avalanche are just that dominant over everybody else. The way I felt about the Lightning that year and last year.
Yeah, I will say
I don't know. I still think the Avalanche are. I don't think the Lightning performed well in Game 3, but the Avs are getting Kadri back and everything. I think the Avs are going to take it all. Their team is just so good this year.
I don't know how we got on to NHL, but I will say that NHL probably has the most parity and ups and downs of any major sport that we have right now.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it fluctuates.
I don't know how we got. Because I was talking about betting. That's how we got to the NHL. Yeah. I'm bad at that. Anyways, let's go back to the NBA because the Warriors also announced that they are trying to re-sign Jordan Poole to a 4-year, $100 million contract. And in one of the sports groups I'm in on Facebook, this dude is just going nuts, saying that there's no way he deserves that much money. There's no way he deserves $100 million. He's a role player at best. All he does is shoot open threes. Like, did you watch? Because Jordan Poole really carried the team for a little bit of time.
Yeah. Clay and Steph disappeared for a little bit here and there. Obviously they both got it back.
Clay big time disappeared in Game 6.
Yeah, Clay was a ghost in Game 6, but Steph wasn't.
No.
Steph was a beast. But yeah, you absolutely need someone like Poole in those moments because your top two guys can't always do it, and he stepped up big time. He deserves to get rewarded for that. He brought another ring back.
Literally,
I don't think they get to the finals without him.
Literally,
no. I mean, when you're talking trying, it's not what you necessarily do just in the finals. It's what you do to get there. And Poole did more than his fair share to get them there. I mean, it's scary to think about what that team still is, let alone what they have been, if they have that core group of people together. It's still scary.
Yeah, and I like to bring up the point that the team did not fall off. They did not get any worse when Steve Kerr benched Curry for Poole. Like, Curry was coming off the bench for quite a bit this season, with Poole being the starter. They did not fall off.
I mean, Curry got his, and it was appropriate because Curry now should be able to, does cement himself as being one of the top 10 players to ever play this game. Again, he made the game completely different. I don't know what more accolades you need him to get to where you put him higher. I mean, all he's doing is fighting against ghosts at this point. I mean, I guess you could say he's fighting it against LeBron James, but LeBron James and the way he acts, I'm still taking Curry before him.
I can tell you exactly what people will say, and I kind of agree, but I also disagree. he's the greatest shooting point guard of all time, greatest shooter of all time. I think personally he's the best point guard to ever play. But people don't like that he hasn't, and again, this is kind of a stupid argument, but I see where they're coming from. He hasn't, I don't think he's been named to an all-defensive team. And it's hard to say this is the greatest player ever when they don't play both sides of the ball really well. That's my big knock on James Harden. He just doesn't play defense.
As well, yep, exactly.
But
I don't think you can say someone's a GOAT if they only play one side of the ball.
Here's the thing. If you don't think that Steph Curry is playing defense, he might not show up on the leaderboards with steals and with blocks and rebounds. But if you watch the fluidity of the Golden State switches, he kept what's that dude's name? Al Horford. He kept Al Horford from being able to score in the post. Just like completely shut him down in the paint when he was on him. He doesn't get the accolades, but he plays defense.
Yeah, no, he definitely plays defense. He's not like a really lazy defender. Like you see a bunch of like Harden's a super lazy defender. But Steph is he's a very good team defender. He's not amazing at individual defense. Obviously it doesn't matter that much because he's gonna light you up on the other side. So it's not the end of the world if he's not necessarily a plus defender. Right.
That and just the notion that people have that he doesn't play defense is just annoying because he's fucking. He's not quite. He's kind of like Kyrie in the way he plays defense. Kyrie's just a better defender, in my opinion. Like they're fucking pests. They're not gonna get the crazy stats that you're gonna see from a guy like Kawhi, but they're just fucking annoying to play against. And I think that's good enough. That's good enough for me.
They kind of know what you're gonna. Yeah, they kind of know what you're gonna do offensively because they're thinking, what would I do in this situation? So it's if you're old or lazy and you're really good on offense, then you're going to be a bad defender. But if you're not old or lazy on defense and you're good on offense, you can usually at least be average because it's literally just, what would I do here? Okay, let me counter that.
Yeah. And last thing I want to say about the Warriors before we move on, because I have a few NFL topics I want to talk about, is Game 6, Klay was just missing. He was nowhere to be found, and he had so many wide-open threes that he just didn't hit. I texted one of my friends that Draymond has hit 3 threes, and he has 3 more than Klay Thompson. So, it's just insane that...
Yeah. It's a solid point. I mean, Klay wasn't it. Klay, I don't know what's happened to him since his injury, but he's definitely not the same. I mean, you saw him at the parade; he fell down.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, it's kind of it's almost symbolic to his performance at times during the playoffs. And I want to go back to just real quick with I was listening to you guys with Seth. Like, yeah, he's not paper-wise, it doesn't show up that he's a great defender, but in the same sense, you don't really see people challenging him. Like, he's not going to... he's a guy that forces people to pass and get the ball away from him. It's not like they're really trying to force the issue with him. So, in my sense, that is kind of a solid defender. If you're getting the ball out of the guy's hands that's doing it, which, given that it's the point guard, that's not bad at defense. It's just people don't want to even deal with that.
Exactly.
Well, that's also their defensive scheme, is that they switch a lot because they have a lot of quick guys that can get on whoever they're switching to right away. So
right, and I don't think that you should be faulted for the fact that you play within the defensive scheme well. I think that if you do your job, like you said, that there's nothing wrong with you not necessarily lighting up a stat sheet because of that.
Completely agree.
Right.
Completely agree. And also, there are also physical limitations. I guarantee if Steph had 3 more inches on his wingspan, he would be recognized as a better defender because he's got length.
Yeah, and he's got more steals. He might get, I don't know, what, a more steal game, maybe 0.5, whatever.
I'm just sick of the narrative that, this guy can't be the greatest because he didn't play defense. Well, first of all, no one in the NBA really plays defense. Second of all, then you're just not watching. If you think that guys like Kyrie, guys like Steph, they're not playing defense, then you're just someone who wakes up in the morning and looks on ESPN for stats.
Yeah, and that's not going to tell the whole story. I still think, given the rings, given what he's done, given the way that a single person changed the game, and the way that people are playing it, if he's not considered in your top 10, then you're doing something wrong.
I'd have to sit down and think about who my top 10 would be, but he's probably there. But I think he's definitely my number 1 point guard of all time, in my opinion.
No, I mean, at this point, he'd more than have to be. I mean, I can't think of another point guard who can do what he can do. I mean, the dude pulls up from half court, and every time he pulls up, you're thinking to yourself, there's a good chance that's going in.
Yeah, the only ones that I could think of that could rival him.
He's got Trae Young trying to emulate him.
Yeah. The only one that I can think of that is in the same conversation with him, really, is Magic. Just Magic Johnson. It's those two at the top, and everyone else, the Chris Pauls.
Magic was a different breed because Magic, during his time, Magic could play almost all 5 positions.
Yeah.
Magic had continued to play, too. His stats would be unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what Steph Curry is doing is fucking unimaginable, especially for a point guard. Because, Ray Allen was a shooting guard and is arguably one of the best not even arguably, he is one of the best 3-point shooters of all time. And Steph is leaving him in the dust.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's absolutely insane how next level his shooting is. And
his range is incredible. Incredible.
Yeah, and the consistency, every time he shoots, it doesn't matter if he's got, 2 guys in his face, you're like, oh, that's going in.
Every time.
It's unbelievable.
Every damn time.
And, as you said, changing the game, now you see guys taking these deeper and deeper shots that they never used to take because they're like, well, if he can do it, then why the hell, can't I if I practice?
Right.
And for someone that's not he's not like a physical freak, He's obviously above average height, but he's not it's not like he's towering tall. He's not 6'10", and changing the game, like Magic was, like LeBron is.
Dude, just imagine.
He's what, 6'4"?
6'3", I think.
6'3", I think.
Yeah. Just really quickly, I just imagine if you take someone who's just so freakishly athletically gifted and physical,
so 6'2" on here. He's barely taller than me. That makes me sad.
If you put his shooting on Derrick Rose, that's the greatest player of all time. The greatest of all time.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
How would you Jordan? That's the only thing I could think of that would compete with Steph Curry's shooting on Derrick Rose.
I don't even think because Jordan wasn't amazing from 3. He was amazing from everywhere else. But
yeah,
if there was one point of his game lacking, it was the 3 ball.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break. Then we're going to talk some NFL stuff that I want your opinions on. And then that'll be all of that. All right, so stay tuned. We'll be back in just a minute. You are listening to Dan D'Antoni Sports. welcome back to the second half of our episode. So, we went over the NBA, we went over some football news type stories in the first half. Now I want NFL opinions, and I do have three or four little things for us to talk about. The first one that I want to get into is, I don't know if you saw this or not, but Chase Claypool said, and I'm sure he believes, that he's a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL.
I just want to clarify before we start this. You said you want opinions, so you want mine?
Yeah, as scary as that sounds, yes, I do want your opinion. Chase Claypool says that he is a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL.
No. Go fuck himself with... Go fuck off and skip with Alice in Wonderland, because there's no fucking way that that's true. That's not even based in reality. Look at the stats, dude. You're not even in the top 10. You want to talk about top 3? Shut up.
Yeah, like he's good. He's had fantastic games. I think he'll continue to improve. But get the hell out of here. You're not top 3 in the NFL.
Here's the thing. I don't even think he's the best receiver on his team.
Right? Yeah, you gotta beat out Deontay Johnson if you're gonna say you're like. And it's definitely arguable that Johnson is better than he is. At least stats wise, I think Claypool's got better hands. But Johnson's separation is, really, really good.
The fact that we're even talking about Johnson versus Claypool means that, dude, you were barely in the top 20.
Yeah, it's rough. It's very rough. I don't get it.
Nobody should be... No. The person who asked the question, or however he ended up saying that, should have responded with, well, that's obviously bullshit. So let's come back to reality and fucking give him some other thing to fucking talk about.
When I saw that, I was just flabbergasted. I was like, no fucking chance he thinks that. No chance he thinks he's not even a top 3 wide receiver under fucking, 23. What?
I don't know if he's a top 3 wide receiver in his division.
Oh, he's definitely not. He's definitely not. Yeah, absolutely. He's got Amari Cooper now in that division. Amari's better. He's got Jamar Chase, better. He's got T. Higgins, better. He's got Tyler Boyd, better. Him and Devin Duvernay are about equal. Deontay's better.
I don't know if Boyd's better than Claypool. Boyd's obviously had a longer career, but I think Claypool might end up being better than him.
Still, there are 1 and 2 wide receivers better than you in your division, and you're saying you're the top 3 in the league?
Yeah, he's...
Yeah, I get it. These guys need to think highly of themselves in order to get to that level. But
listen, I appreciate his confidence, but somebody test that boy.
Okay, let me ask you this question. What if that same sentence was said by Justin Jefferson? I think I'm a top 3 receiver in the NFL.
More believable.
much closer to reality, for sure.
Yes, that can at least be based in reality, because everything Justin Jefferson has done with let's face it, as Dan always fucking gets on him with this shit, a subpar quarterback. Yes. He probably should be if you think for a second that if Justin Jefferson had one of the elite quarterbacks, or a mildly competent one, he'd be lighting it up. That dude he set records his rookie year. What? I can't even tell you what Claypool's done in his last 2 years.
I can tell you that he lost a game for the Steelers that they should have won because he decided he wanted to celebrate a first down rather than get the ball to the official.
I can tell you that he's been a wide receiver 2 or 3 on my fantasy teams, which tells you right there he's not in the top 3.
Yeah. Yep. All right. That was just warm up.
I can tell you, he's not going first or second round in fantasy drafts. You're not top 3, and that's the case.
Fuck out of here. I didn't even know that he said that quote. Thank you for bringing that to my attention, Dan, because that's the most asinine thing and makes me hate the Steelers more.
Oh, okay,
But
well...
The Steelers just have to have a drama queen on their team at all times. Mr. Big Shot left, so Claypool's taking up the mantle.
Yeah, well, hopefully Mr. Big Shot can heal his thumb now.
No. Mr. Big Chest, AB.
Yeah.
Oh, well, okay, maybe that guy can get psychiatric help and fucking Big Ben can heal his thumb. I don't know what to tell you. That team's a fucking disaster. Le'Veon Bell left for, I'm sorry for this, the Jets for a lot of money, and that didn't exactly work out for you.
Yeah.
That was rough.
That was a bad contract.
So we're going from stupid to stupid. Because next I want to talk about Chris Sims' top 40 quarterbacks. I just want to talk about the top 5 and then highlight a few others that I just think are just absolutely stupid. Number 1 and 2, I believe he got correct. He got Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. All right. His number 3 is Justin Herbert. His number 4 is Joe Burrow. His number 5 is Aaron Rodgers.
So far, there's an argument for all of that.
For Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow to be 3 and 4 in the entire NFL? Ahead of Rodgers, ahead of Brady?
What they surrounded Herbert with, I could easily see Herbert being top 5. Burrow, was in the Super Bowl last year.
I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo was in the Super Bowl 3 years ago.
Shut up, Dan.
Well, Burrow isn't. We saw Burrow actually do it and put the team on his back.
I also saw Burrow shrink really bad in the playoffs.
Yeah, but Burrow fucking... His offensive line caught up to him. He kept them in all that shit with a really subpar offensive line. Now, that being said, I can understand this list if you're talking about the top 5 quarterbacks going forward. But if you're going to say right now, as it stands, how the hell is Aaron Rodgers number 5 when he's coming off back-to-back MVPs?
Yeah, so let me go through the top 10. And it just... Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Herbert, Burrow, Rodgers. And then 6, Matthew Stafford. 7, Russell Wilson. 8, Tom Brady. 9, Dak Prescott. 10, Lamar Jackson.
Interesting. So, Lamar fans will hate this, but I don't think he's going to be top 10 this year because I think the Ravens are going to be going, fully back to run heavy. So, actually, Lamar will have a ton of rushing yards, I think, because I think they're going to run a lot of option. But I don't think Lamar's going to be a top 10, top 15 passing guy at all this year.
No.
And that's not against, that's nothing on Lamar. Lamar's great, but I think their team is going to be super run heavy.
Yeah.
I agree.
So, other things that I think are of note in this, Deshaun Watson at 13.
He's not even going to play 13 games.
Nope. Carson Wentz at 19, Jimmy Garoppolo at 20, Daniel Jones at 21, Zach Wilson at 22. Jalen Hurts at 25. Marcus Mariota at 28.
Who's got below Mariota?
They've got Tua, Jared Goff, Trey Lance, Sam Darnold, Geno Smith, Tyler Huntley, Davis Mills, Tyrod Taylor.
All right, stop.
Mills has got to be above all of those guys.
It's just... and number 40 is Drew Lock.
Okay, Mills looks solid with a shit team around him. Get out of here that Mills is bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, I know.
This list, wait, who made this list?
Dumbass Chris Sims.
So, it's weird. This is oddly right about some things, especially when it comes to quarterbacks. So I have to try and respect his opinion on some of these things, but that just seems way off. Daniel Jones, 21. Sorry, Tony, but I don't see it.
What are you apologizing to me for? I can't.
Wilson at 22 is fine.
Came out of Avengers Endgame fucking pissed off at fucking, or not even Avengers Endgame, it was just fucking Infinity War. Oh, heroes just lost and we dropped. This is the worst night of a possible.
I just don't understand. I just don't understand how you see what Trevor Lawrence did and think this guy's better than Jameis Winston. I don't get it.
How could you say that when Trevor Lawrence didn't do shit? What, are they expecting ETN to be the greatest fucking second coming? Dude, you didn't even have a coach for a full fucking year.
I don't understand.
He's obviously taking like team construction and off season into account, but yeah, I don't get it.
And Tua, look at the Dolphins with Tua and when they were using Jacoby Brissett. Completely different team. The Dolphins team with Tua looked solid. I don't think you should have Tua as the third worst starting quarterback in the NFL. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Look, the Dolphins, Tua's going to look good this year, whether that's because of Tyreek making him look good or what, but he's going to look good. Some of these are definite head scratchers.
Yeah,
the guys that haven't proven anything, I don't know how you have them above guys that have shown that they can do it in the league. Like, I'm fine with Wilson being low. He had some flashes last year, but he hasn't shown, too much on the field. Same with T-Law, had some flashes, hasn't shown too much on the field. These guys should be lower down, the guys that have actually done it, especially when they haven't had well-constructed rosters and then get, some significant improvements. Those guys should be in the middle tiers. And it feels like for some of these, he just had a dartboard up and he was just chucking them and seeing where it fell.
Exactly. And Kenny Pickett is on this fucking list. He hasn't fucking stepped on a field. He's ahead of Drew Lock at 39. I agree.
Yeah, 39 is fine for someone that you're hoping that they're going on to a roster that fits them, which it looks to be the case for Pickett. But a lot of these are real head scratchers.
Here's the other problem that I have, and you can disagree with me on this, but Tyler Huntley at 34, I would take him starting over Geno Smith, over Sam Darnold, over Jared Goff, over Mitch Trubisky, over Trevor Lawrence, over Justin Fields, over Zach Wilson, over Carson Wentz, over Jimmy Garoppolo or Trey Lance. I would take Tyler Huntley over at least 6 starters, just rattling off the top of my head.
Yeah, Huntley looked really, really solid when he was filling in for Lamar last year.
When Lamar had to poop.
Obviously had some. He had some mistakes, and they obviously schemed for his strengths. But yeah, to rank him that low when he stepped in and showed really promising play, it just seems odd.
Yeah. Yep. So that's Chris Sims' stupid list. I don't. How do these people get paid so much money when? I don't know.
Well, I think he got.
I watched his.
In fairness, I think he got the first 2 right because I think that's the future of the NFL. That's the way it's going to go. Other than that,
he's got some work.
I watched his analysis of the Jets and Zach Wilson. I watched the clip of it for these rankings, and he was basically spot on with everything he said about Wilson and the Jets. So I know he's taking a lot of factors in, including strength of schedule. That's part of the reason he brought Wilson down is that even though we surrounded him with talent, our schedule is one of the worst in the NFL next year. So he brought Zach Wilson down a couple spots for that. So that's maybe something that we're not considering that he did add into his rankings.
All right. I'm done with that. I want to move on to something else that I disagree with, but not as egregious. CBS Sports, Patrick Walker, top 10 running backs. Now, number 1, he's got Derrick Henry. Number 2, Jonathan Taylor. Number 3, Nick Chubb. Number 4, Kamara. Number 5, Dalvin Cook. Number 6, Joe Mixon. Number 7, Ezekiel Elliott. Number 8, Austin Eckler. Number 9, Aaron Jones. And number 10, David Montgomery. I
don't like that last one.
There's a lot I don't like on this list. I don't think... I still don't understand why people look at Nick Chubb and don't think this guy's the best running back in the NFL. He can literally do it all. There's nothing he cannot do.
I don't know. Maybe consider me a little partial, but I still think that probably the best all-around running back in the NFL right now is probably, to me, I feel like it's Jonathan Taylor.
Okay, I get Jonathan Taylor, all right, I do. But I don't understand how you can take a guy who had 8 games less and still ran the ball only 5 times less than Nick Chubb and 13 times less than Jonathan Taylor and 6 times less than Dalvin Cook, and they were all right there in yards. Derrick Henry's getting 27 fucking carries a game. Of course he's going to put numbers up.
I'm not going to sit here and say that Nick Chubb is being drastically undervalued. I mean, I think Nick Chubb's been drastically undervalued for a long time, but I also think that that's just a product of Nick Chubb's environment.
Yeah.
My question is, what were the parameters here? Is this from just a pure talent perspective? Is this what stats they're going to put up? Because Chubb, obviously shares the backfield with a very talented Kareem Hunt. So if it's production standpoint, then yeah, Chubb has to come down because Kareem's going to be taking almost half those carries away from him. Whereas like a guy like Derrick Henry has the backfield almost to himself.
Jonathan Taylor, but yes.
And to not put CMC on that list seems weird. I guess he's just assuming he's going to be hurt again, which is a fair enough bet. But from a talent perspective, a production perspective, if he's healthy, he's going to be top 5.
So
I think CMC is going to be a steal in this year's fantasy draft.
He might.
If you get him at the right spot, it can be a steal, especially if he is healthy. You got a good one.
So my top 10 in no order. I struggled coming up with this 10. Nick Chubb, Dalvin Cook, Ezekiel Elliott, Joe Mixon. Again, not in order. Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor, Aaron Jones, Alvin Kamara. I'm taking Eckler and Montgomery off, and I'm putting Josh Jacobs and Najee Harris as the other 2. I think those are the 10 best running backs in the NFL.
I can see Najee climbing into that role, but until I see it, I have a hard time believing it. Zeke I have the problem with, because Zeke, and again, it has nothing to do with him being a Cowboy, Dan. I am a huge fan and want him to fucking succeed because he went to, where, the Ohio State. But until I can see him actually deliver, I mean, he's had a tough stretch the last 2 years, so I have a problem with him sneaking in there.
So here's the thing.
Yeah, that's what I don't get about these rankings, because that's similar. It's very similar. He's had injury things, and he's got a lot of shared backfield with Pollard. Like, what are the parameters here?
So Zeke.
I understand where you're coming from, because that's the real question. Like, what are we judging this on? Are we judging this on what we think they're going to do? Are they going to be healthy? Are they not going to be healthy?
Yeah. So my polite rebuttal is Ezekiel Elliott still met all of the metrics, had over 1,000 yards, 4.4 yards per carry, and was playing with a torn PCL since week 7. So that, I think, really he was on pace before he got hurt to eclipse his rookie totals in touchdowns and yards. But,
I hope he gets there, and the NFL is such a league of what have you done for me lately.
Oh, yeah.
That's the thing that I have an issue with.
Yeah.
My concern also is with a couple of these guys, a la Henry and Zeke, is, can they keep it going this season? These are guys that have a lot of tread on their tires at this point in their careers. Henry is a physical freak, but age catches up to everybody. Even if he is a giant bulldozer of a man, eventually he's gonna slow down.
I mean, Zeke is only 26, so he's still got a few good years on him.
He's young, but he's got a lot of carries under his belt, and that tends to be a predictor of when running backs fall off more than strictly age. They tend to fall off after I think it's something like 1,400 carries, but that's also in the past we're getting a lot better at dealing with injuries in general and de-aging some of these freaking guys. Just look at Brady. So it's going to be interesting to see how some of these elite guys hold up.
If I had to give my top 5 for the next few years, I would go. I think Nick Chubb is the best in the NFL right now. I think Jonathan Taylor would be number 2. I think Dalvin Cook is going to make huge strides going forward. Joe Mixon and Alvin Kamara would round out my top 5 of most talented running backs in the NFL, in my opinion.
From pure talent perspective, I can definitely see arguments for all of those guys that obviously all elite. I think you're forgetting Breece Hall though.
No, I'm forgetting.
I still think that you need to put an asterisk on Christian McCaffrey, because Christian McCaffrey, if he can come back, if he can do what he can do, the boy's going to be a problem.
Yeah,
Season, everyone's going to forget about his injury history. That's all I need, just one healthy season.
Yeah, but that's the problem.
We can't not question that, because we've lived in an age where someone like Adrian Peterson can come back from an ACL, and all of a sudden he's one dickhead coaching move away from breaking the all-time rushing record.
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely see, but just like if injuries weren't a factor, Christian McCaffrey and Saquon would both be on this list.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair, but again, that also brings into question, I agree with you as far as wanting to include someone like Ezekiel Elliott, but like Dan's saying, a lot of the times it comes down to the number of carries, but the other factor that needs to go into there is injuries, because people who get hurt, sometimes if it's the wrong injury, they're never the same again. Look at fucking Todd Gurley.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
He was an absolute monster. He came back to that Super Bowl run, and guess what? He wasn't the same again.
He didn't even play in the Super Bowl. He was a healthy scratch, they said.
Right, and even this season, who was Todd Gurley other than irrelevant?
Exactly.
So, injuries have to factor in at some point, because even though it may be minor, because Todd Gurley seemed minor at the time, but yet now looking back on it, that fucked his whole career.
It did.
Yeah, well, now we've got an example of have we solved Achilles injuries being career altering or career ending?
Cam Akers.
You got guys like Cam Akers, who's apparently
in the same season.
100%. He wasn't 100% last season for sure, but they're saying he is this training camp.
don't think that we can measure that in a way, because I feel like a lot of the time that comes down to the same idea of medicine, because, injuries and stuff like that, you're talking about guys who, what may be for some person isn't the ideal for the other person, because it's all based on the individual, not necessarily the person, and that's extremely hard to predict.
Yeah, it is very hard to predict, and it's especially because it's not like we didn't see Cam Akers, for 3 years progress, and then, he gets hurt, and then he's able to come back and just pick up right where he left off. We haven't really seen Cam Akers. But I have one last thing I want to talk about before we finish up, and I already partially know, Tony, where you're going to go with part of this. But DraftKings all underrated NFL offense doing the skills position. They list quarterback Kirk Cousins, running backs Damian Harris and James Robinson, wide receivers DJ Moore, Brandon Cooks, Tyler Boyd, and tight end Dallas Goedert. I have one issue with this, and this isn't just me being a Penn State homer, but Dallas Goedert's not underrated. He's perfectly rated. People see him as a great tight end. It should be Mike Gesicki as the most underrated tight end in the NFL.
Okay.
Other than that, I like the list. I agree. Damian Harris, very good running back, doesn't get the appreciation. James Robinson, very good running back. His own team didn't appreciate him. Fucking drafted another running back in the first round. DJ Moore, Brandon Cooks, and Tyler Boyd. I agree with this entire list except Dallas Goedert. I think it should be either Mike Gesicki as the most underrated tight end, or it should be David Njoku, because he doesn't get talked about enough either.
No, I like the contract. I like the Njoku selection. I mean, that's fair. Actually, to be honest, when I saw this, and I actually saw this right after I came off the golf course, it just happened to be on my feed. I actually didn't have much issue with this list. I mean, there's one person as far as running backs that I could see joining that list, but again, it's going to be proven on this season, and that's probably Najee Harris, just because Najee Harris is probably going to end up being, if used correctly, a form of Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
But you can't give him that right now because he doesn't fit that role. He hasn't played in the NFL. He could come into the NFL and he could be a shell of himself of what he was in college.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know that I necessarily agree with the tight end spot. Goddard seems like he's appropriately placed. I mean, I don't know what I don't know what they're trying to do as far as justifying that. But again, I also don't understand what their metrics are as far as DraftKings are concerned at certain points, because they put things out of context.
They definitely do. At first I thought it was weird seeing Brandon Cooks on here, but then I thought, man, that motherfucker just doesn't get the respect he deserves.
Well, no, Brandon Cooks is in a shit situation. He's always underrated. Situation.
Yeah, he's always got, pretty terrible QB play. He probably has Matt Stafford and he gets fucking traded.
Right, but it's not like he doesn't put up the stats. Like, I can understand that. That dude puts up stats, and when you actually look at his stats, you're like, wow, he put those up with shit fucking quarterbacks.
Do you remember when we took for granted the fucking wide receiving trio of Robert Woods, Brandon Cooks, and Cooper Kupp?
Yeah,
Fuck.
Right?
Fucking A. What a... goddamn, that was crazy.
I mean, it worked out for the Rams, but man, would they have had that's like the OKC team before they dismantle it.
Oh, God.
That's why Goff even looked, halfway decent. Now, he doesn't have a freaking fantastic supporting cast around him, and he looks pretty...
terrible. Yeah. Yep. He definitely does. And it's, I thought that this was a very good list. Usually when I see a list like this, I'm like, that's stupid. That's stupid. The only one I really disagreed with is Dallas Goedert. Because I think, he's maybe a top 10 tight end. He's not great. He's got good hands. He's not Zach Ertz. He's on par with old Zach Ertz. But Zach Ertz in his prime runs circles around Dallas Goedert. So, I like the list, just not the tight end.
Yeah, well, Zach Ertz in his prime was like 2 years worth of Zach Ertz.
Yeah. Ertz.
Yeah, and I think you're exactly right where he's being fairly rated because he's a good tight end, and there's only a few true elite tight ends, and I don't put him in that company, so I think he's fairly rated.
You're right. The elite tight ends are Dalton Schultz, and that's it.
Based on freaking fantasy draft capital, he's looking like it.
Yeah, I will tell you. There's one tight end in the NFL that everyone loves that I think is overrated, and you're going to see it again this upcoming season, I think, and that is George Kittle. Huge fall from grace. The top two tight ends, in my opinion, Kelsey, Waller, you can have them in either position, and I think it's correct. Those are the top two tight ends.
I was almost expecting him to say Schultz.
No. Schultz is a very good weapon for Dak, but he does not have the impact that Darren Waller has, that Travis Kelce has, that Hayden Hurst
I think that Waller has an even bigger season this year, knowing that Devontae Adams is on the other side.
I didn't mean Hayden Hurst. I meant Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews, not Hayden Hurst. Wrong Baltimore tight end.
Yeah. I was gonna say Hurst.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
No, Mark Andrews.
Andrews is a completely different conversation. Andrews, yeah, he's up in that elite category.
He's probably my number 3.
We haven't, Kittle's been hurt, but I think he's still got the talent.
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely see, because a lot of players have down years and bounce back just fine. So we'll see with Kittle. He's never done it for me the way Kelsey has, and now Waller and Mark Andrews are. He's never been my cup of tea.
Yeah, I mean,
I want to see who emerges this year. Pitts has a hell of a career ahead of him. He could arguably be underrated since he's the only target that they had. I think he's going to have a lot more chances this year when he's got actually a decent receiver across from him that takes the attention off of him on the offense side.
We'll see. I'm still not a believer in Pitts, but we'll see.
I think if you watch him play, you gotta be. He's shown he can do it in the NFL. He's not. I don't think he's like the greatest all-around tight end, but receiving tight end, he's looking really good.
I mean, the tight end position is evolving. A blocking tight end in a few years is a thing of the past. No one's going to care if a tight end can block. They're going to be split out at wide receiver every fucking play, basically. That's my opinion. I think the tight end position will be going away, and there will just be a large wide receiver position, is what it's going to be. But
you're probably not wrong on that.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's really all that I wanted to talk about for this week. I do have a couple this week in sports histories, unless you guys got anything to talk about first.
Just want to shout out the Rangers. That's all. Just shout out the Rangers for a hell of a season and, putting it all out there and, didn't make it past the Lightning, but Lightning are freaking hard to beat, man. Two times in a row, looking for the three-peat.
I gotta say, Dan, with that being said, looking at that roster, bright future ahead for the Rangers. They finally seem like they figured shit out, and they're gonna have a team for at least the next few years.
Listen.
Yeah, windows open. Cap is worrisome, but windows open.
I hope the Rangers fall apart because I cannot have Dolan having only one successful team. It's no successful teams or they're both successful.
Well, Well, then tell Dolan to figure shit out. I don't know, write a letter.
Anytime we tell him to sell the team, we get banned. Like,
if only he would sell.
all right.
He's not selling.
This week in sports history, I found it on onthisday.com, as almost always. On June 24th, 1922, the American Professional Football Association is renamed the National Football League. Also, same day, charter NFL club Chicago Staleys renamed Chicago Bears by team founder, owner, and head coach George Halas. All right. Couple of renamings. The Bears. Yep. And it's been fucking 100 years of mediocrity since.
Show the 80s Bears some respect.
Yeah, the 1985 Bears.
I mean, come on. They created an entire dance based on their defense. Nobody's done that since.
Listen, all I'm going to say is if you can get to a Super Bowl with Rex Grossman as your quarterback, you have my respect.
I guess that's fair.
All right. Thank you guys for listening. If you want to reach out to us on Twitter, we are at Dan D'Antoni. On Facebook, we are Dan D'Antoni Sports. Send us an email. We're dandantonisports@gmail.com. So for Dan, Tony, and Dan, have a good night.